Hello viewers. Today we are going to discuss Dandi Salt March. We will discuss an essay written by Louis Fisher. So let's get started. When India was under British rule, the British imposed a tax on Indian salt and a series of salt laws. The tax raised the price of Indian salt and made it difficult for Indians, especially poor people, to buy the salt they needed. The salt law made it illegal for Indians to collect or sell salt. Anyone who produced or sold salt in India outside of the British could be imprisoned for 6 months. Gandhi and many others found the imposition of the salt tax and restrictions on salt production unfair and decided to protest against them. So that was the result of. And now let's begin the discussion of this particular essay written by Fisher. In March 12, 1930, prayers having been sung, Gandhi and 78 male and female members of the ashram, whose identities were published in Young India and weekly magazine for the benefit of the police, left Sabarmati for Dandi, due south of Ahmedabad. Gandhi leaned on a lancred bamboo staff 1 inch thick and 54 inches long, with an iron tip. Following winding, dirty roads from village to village, he and his 78 disciples walked 200 miles in 24 days. "We are marching in the name of God," Gandhi said. Peasants sprinkled the roads and strewn leaves on them. Every settlement in the line of march was festooned and decorated with Indians' national colors. From miles around, peasants gathered to kneel by the roadside as the pilgrims passed. Several times a day, the marches halted for meeting, where Mahatma and others exhorted the people to wear khadi. They urged to wear khadi, abjure alcohol and drugs, abandon child marriage, keep clean, live purely, and when the signal came, break the salt laws. He had no trouble in walking, less than 12 miles a day in two stages with not much luggage. He said, "Child's play." Several became fatigued and footsore and had to ride in bullock cart. A horse was available for Gandhiji throughout the march, but he never used it. The modern generation is delicate, weak, and much pampered, Gandhi commented. He was 61 at that time. He spun every day for an hour and kept a diary and required each ashramite to do likewise. In the area traversed, travelled, over 300 village headsmen gave up their government post. The inhabitants of village would accompany Gandhi to next village. Young men and women attached themselves to marching column. Now, when Gandhi reached the sea at Dandi on April 5th, his small ashram band had grown into a non-violent army, several thousand strong. The entire night of April 5th, the ashramite prayed, and early in the morning they accompanied Gandhi to the sea. He dipped into the water and returned to the beach, and there picked up some salt left by the waves. Mrs. Sarojini Naidu, standing by his side, cried, "Hail, deliverer!" Gandhi had broken the British law, which made it a punishable crime to possess salt not obtained from the British government, salt monopoly. Gandhi, who had not used salt for 6 years, called it a nefarious monopoly. "Salt," he said, "is as essential as air and water, and In India, all the more essential to the hard-working, perspiring, poor man and his beast because of the tropical heat. Had Gandhi gone by train or motor car to make salt, the effect would have been considerable. But to walk for 24 days and divert the attention of all India, to trek across a country side, saying, "Watch, I am about to give a signal to the nation," and then to pick up a pinch of salt in publicized defiance of the mighty government, and thus become a criminal, required imagination, dignity, and the sense of showmanship of a grand artist. It appealed to the illiterate peasants and it appealed to the sophisticated critic and sometimes fierce opponents of Gandhi's like Subhash Chandra Bose, who compared the Salt March to the Napoleon's march to Paris on his return from Elba. The act performed Gandhi withdrew from scene. India had its cue. Gandhi had communicated with it by lifting up some grains. So that was the scene. And Gandhiji took some grains of salt from sea shore and took a pledge. With this crystals of salt, I am going to shake the foundation of British Empire. With the Dandi March, Gandhiji launched the civil disobedience movement against the British. Following Salt March, 80,000 Indians alongside with Gandhi were jailed in Yerwada jail. Both the British administration eventually relented and invited Gandhiji to London to discuss reforms in India. Gandhiji Salt March got wide news coverage and proved to be a turning point in the history of Indian independence movement and led India to independence in 1947. So we can say that with this simple act of standing against injustice, Gandhiji shook the foundation of the British Empire in India. He showed that by working together, people of conviction and courage, even if each one is as small as grain of salt, can make an enormous difference. So thank you so much for listening to me.